Welcome to Raising the Curve, a podcast designed to teach you everything that you need to know to be better with your money. Come and learn alongside me, Sophie Hallwright, a total beginner from the finance expert, Victoria Harris.
So I've asked all of the questions you wish you could so that finance, investing and growing your wealth actually makes sense.
Yes, it's expert education, but that we promise will not be boring.
And in the wise words of Cher,
my mom said to me, you know, sweetheart, one day you should settle down and marry a rich man. And I said, Mom, I am a rich man.
Come and talk and learn and laugh with us because together we really can raise the curve.
So welcome, Annie.
Thank
we
you.
have the most incredible Annie Stafford in the studio, makeshift studio. It's actually my parents' spare bedroom.
It's a lovely spare bedroom, by the way. I wouldn't mind staying here.
I know.
I'm honest.
I'm like, we could just have a nap if we get tired.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a bed to the side here.
Pillow talk.
Yeah. We were kind of chatting before we sat down and there were so many great nuggets
Yes.
of gold that I was like, right, let's just pause this. We need to get into the studio. But you were talking about your journey into the fashion industry.
Yeah.
You're an incredible sewer, which we will get into soon. You've got an incredible following. But I kind of want to wind back the clock.
Yeah.
How did it all start? How did your interest in fashion come about?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
I got my first ever sewing machine 20 years ago for Christmas from my parents, and no piece of fabric was ever safe in that household ever again. Literally, I was sewing towels and tea towels and my mum's dresses and all of that. I watched the movie The Parent Trap.
Oh, love
Okay,
that.
and there's the scene. Okay, Elizabeth James is my muse because there's a scene in The Parent Trap where they're in her studio and there's a model with a wedding dress on and a big black top hat.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
So they're dancing around and I was just like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm meant to be a wedding dress designer. And then I watched the movie with Jennifer Lopez and Matthew McConaughey, The Wedding Planner.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I love this. I'm going to be a wedding dress designer. I didn't end up being a wedding dress designer, but I did continue sewing throughout high school.
Yep.
I finished high school and I knew I wanted to do fashion design, but I just didn't know where.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a gap year. I said, I'll give myself Christmas time off, but January, we're going to make a list of everything we want to do in a year.
Yeah.
And come out of that year having a clearer path of how you're going to achieve what you want. But yes, in this gap year, I also went and did night classes at different universities just to see where I would feel more at home. And then I found Whitecliff and then I was like, cool, this is where I want to go for my first year of university.
Yeah.
So also in that year, what I did is I knew a student loan was not for me.
Why is that?
Because so many people, adults, were in student loan debt.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that was constantly following them.
Mm.
And I know myself well enough to know that that was not an option for me. My parents also said, look, we can't pay for your university. Like, you're an adult. You need to make the choices now. And that is financial choice. So you need to figure it out. And that's, I think, why the gap year was so important for me to go, okay, how is my relationship with money? How is my relationship with my parents? Can I live at home for this time or can I not? Do I want to stay in Auckland and do my degree here or do I want to go elsewhere?
Yeah.
So in that gap year, I was working 4 different jobs.
And was this to save up money because you knew you wanted to go to university, but you didn't want to get a student loan? So you're like, right, I need to save.
I need to figure it out. So what I did was my tuition fees were 10 grand. You got to have that by February 2nd or you're not going to university. And then obviously the time that you're at uni, you won't be able to earn as much. So you need to make sure you have a surplus for course related costs. Like I worked my first year to earn enough to pay for my second year, third year, fourth year. Fourth year was hard. Yes, I had a lot of people say to me, oh, you work too hard, But I said to myself, Annie, you can do this while you're young.
Yeah.
You cannot be doing this when you've got a family, house, kids, all that. You can't be doing it then. This is the time you're supposed to be doing it. This is the time where you can live off 6 hours sleep. This is the time where you can pull all-nighters.
I wish so much. And it's crazy. Even the last few weeks, I've really been thinking about this a lot of like how much I wish I had saved and invested more when I was younger. And yes, like they're, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and in hindsight's great. But yeah, I definitely spent a lot more money than I should have been. And I could have 100% been in a much better financial position if I just put even 10% more away. But like, I don't know. It is what it is.
Actionable step right there.
Yeah.
I knew from day one, future Annie needs it more than now. Now, current Annie lives at home, gets rent paid, gets food paid, gets car and petrol paid. Like, you do not need that extra $17 per week now.
That $17 multiplied over the next 45 years.
Exactly.
Is a lot more than $17.
Exactly. And when you're young, you can sacrifice the smallest amount and you're still fine.
Yeah.
When you're older, then it becomes, I have to work overtime and I'm not there for my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not there for
And you've got a lot
pickup.
more outgoings. You've probably got a house
Of
and a mortgage.
course.
You've probably got kids. You've probably got a lot of other things that you need to pay for. And you're now having to put more towards your retirement. I'd love to get into sewing and money, which you have built an incredible platform called Ford Wardrobe.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this started when I was at uni.
Yeah.
So what happened was we had a unit in our 4th year where we had to design labels, like little care tag labels that go in the back of your shirt. And it was getting closer and closer to the deadline. And they were like, you've got to think of a brand name and, all this design imagery and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't know.
Stafford.
Yes.
Got it. Now I'm seeing
There we go.
Ford Wardrobe.
It's so funny. It's so funny. People are like, oh, Annie Ford. And I'm like, nope.
No.
That's not it.
So you've built an incredible platform
Yeah.
teaching people how to sew and mend and essentially repurpose their clothes, which in itself is incredible. A lot of people probably don't put the whole financial independence and sewing together. Yeah. So can you kind of explain how these two intersect?
Yeah. So before I started sewing my own clothes, I bought a lot of fast fashion. I will never deny I have bought and still continue to buy select fast fashion items like, socks. Yeah. But I think I probably buy 1 or 2 items per year. Australia now consumes 55 to 60 new garments per year per person. Yeah, it's pretty staggering.
Gosh.
We produce like 10 billion new garments per year. There are enough clothes in circulation to clothe the next 6 generations.
Wow.
Considering, clothing used to be something that served a purpose, whereas now it's status.
What do you think changed that from a purpose
globalization
statement? Yeah.
Globalization, you can easily get the trends. ASOS and Temu and Shein, they brag like, 12,000 new style items daily. And it's like, no.
There's no need for that.
No,
There's
there
no
isn't.
need for that. Yeah.
There isn't. So my graduate collection was called Tempting 7. So I was slowly on this journey to seeing how we consume and view our clothes. But my graduate collection was based on the fact that a garment in the fast fashion industry is only worn between 7 to 10 times before it's disposed of. So why? The material wasn't good quality, so it wouldn't last. The sewing techniques weren't good, so they wouldn't last. The people didn't hold on to it because they had no sentimental value to it. It was so cheap that they could afford to dispose of it. All of these reasons. And then I basically reversed.
I'm like, is just sitting there, I'm like, guilty.
Yeah, and we all are. We all are. But it's about being aware of it.
Yes.
So my graduate collection, what I did is I reverse engineered all of those things. So I used really high grade New Zealand merino. I used really durable sewing techniques. I created classic designs and silhouettes. And, I put pleats in a waistband so that when a woman fluctuates in size, that she will over her lifetime, it can be let out or gathered back in. It was all about these things that can last through time. And then you've had them for a long time. So you hold sentimental value with them. Therefore, you're going to repair them. Therefore, it keeps it in the wear cycle of your wardrobe for longer. It's about creating a workhorse item. The most sustainable item is the one you already own.
Yeah.
You do not need to go out and buy something that's classified as sustainable because it is on you, the consumer, that gives it that definition. A brand can create something that is so eco-friendly and whatnot, but there still has been energy and resources put into it.
They're still producing it and they still want you to consume it. It's kind of broader than just buying clothes. It's consumerism in the broader sense.
Yeah. So it's about doing what you can with what you have. If you notice you've got a little bit of a tear or a rip in one of your dresses, instead of throwing it out, or see, this is the thing that people assume that they're doing the right thing by donating it to like a charity shop or something. Yeah. And of course, it's on a case-by-case basis, different organizations and whatnot in different parts of the world. But if that item of clothing doesn't get sold in that store, it gets bundled off and either recycled into a material for building and construction in the walls, insulation.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's one. But it gets shipped off to Ghana and it decimates their textile industry because every element of the clothing cycle takes energy. So the best way that you can care and maintain your clothes is by wearing them and mending them. You know, make, do, and mend during the war. Materials were rationed. You've got to find your harmony with it. You've got to do what you can with what you have. So sewing is an option.
Yeah.
It is a way to maintain and care and, upcycle your clothes. However, people don't have the time, energy, knowledge, whatnot, and that's fine. The way that I teach people how to sew and do that process is through empathy, because not everyone's going to come to it with the same background knowledge that you do. So I think it's all about doing what you can with where you're at. And if that is all I ask, is that you're aware of what you're doing. So the film that changed my life was the film called The True Cost. And it basically talks about how just because you don't see it every day doesn't mean it's not happening. So there was a factory in Bangladesh called Rana Plaza.
Yes.
Killed like 1,200 people. Basically, it's a race to the bottom for manufacturers, because if they've got an order for 10,000 units, but their price is 10 rupees higher than the other, companies are going to go to them.
Yeah. Which means that then they can't pay for appropriate workplace conditions. They can't pay staff well. They can't pay. Yeah. If you're bidding.
The labor laws around manufacturing in general are atrocious. And one of the arguments that people say is, if I don't buy fast fashion, then these people won't have jobs. And I think that's a very easy out for people. And it's like, no, it's not the job. The manufacturing and textile production is an honorable trade and a job.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the working conditions that are a problem. So,
but if we keep buying cheap products, we're ourselves a part of the problem, and that companies want to keep prices low so that they can attract customers. Therefore, the supply chain needs to be very cheap, then lean. And so we're kind of a function of our own detriment. And then we stand there and go, oh gosh, that's terrible, that's happening. But we're actually a function of the problem.
Yeah.
There's a time versus money aspect here. If, for me, I get a hole in my jeans or a button falls off.
Yeah.
For me, the time to sit down and do that, which I'm, you're probably not going to agree with this, the time it takes to do that and sit down, and I'm terrible at it. Yeah. So I need to upskill, versus dropping it at the alterations company on the way to work.
Just do that.
Yeah.
If that's where you're at, just do that.
Right, but I guess the worst case then is to throw out the pair of jeans and buy a new one.
A pair of jeans takes 7 years worth of human drinking water to produce.
God, you're a statistic.
I told you I did.
Yeah,
I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely in the camp of repair. But the time to take and sew that is time for me taken away from something else.
Yeah.
whether it's work, family, friends, my own time to myself. What would be your kind of argument for that? Is it that fact that
I feel like a lot of people over-exaggerate how long it would take them.
yes, okay.
That's one.
Yeah.
Another is habit stack. So for example, whenever I sit down and watch something, I'm doing something with my hands. Whenever I sit down and watch something, I need to do something with my hands. I can't just sit.
I guess it's not making it a chore, because if it's not enjoyable, that's when you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same with investing. It's like, if you make it enjoyable, and that's what this whole podcast, has been. It's like, let's make it fun and exciting and not something you have to do at the end of the day that it's exhausting and uninteresting. And let's make it fun and rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that whole, like, when I do this thing, like go to yoga or Pilates or whatnot, you put $5 away for something like that.
Yeah.
That was great. What I do, keeping in mind, I think I'm pretty good with my finances. I've only just set up sinking funds this year. I also do something called the 12-week year that really helps me manage my time. Basically, people start off January with all of this gusto. I'm going to do this. This is the new year for me. Let's go. And then end of January, you kind of like, end of February. No, I've still got a lot of time to write that book, to plan that trip to
Yeah.
And then you get to December and you're like, oh, whoops. There's no sense of urgency because the time is too long. So 12-week year is about taking your year and condensing it down from 1 month to 1 week. So what you essentially do is you pack a month into a week. So you get 4 years in 1 year. But it creates such a sense of urgency and accountability that you're doing it every day. So one of my phrases is touch gold every day. So do something that will get you towards your end goal today. The goal could be, I'm going to sit down and write 1 sentence on my book.
Yeah.
You never sit down and write 1 sentence. You sit down and write 1 paragraph. It's never that little task being checked. It's more.
Yeah.
So what I did when I moved to Melbourne, I had 20,003 followers. And I was like, the ego in me, I cannot drop down. Yeah. I can't. So what I said to myself was, I'm going to do 12-week year. And one of my goals was to get board building on a roll, because I cannot say I want change without changing. That inspired me to create the habit of uploading every single day. So I post every single day on my Instagram. And then I had 1 reel go viral and I got 250,000 followers from that. Social media is like a lottery ticket. The more you post, the more you do, the
more,
better.
Yeah, the more higher probability.
Exactly. Yeah. But then I got 100 followers a day, and then I was getting 1,000 followers a day, and then I was getting 100 followers an hour. And I was like, oh my, and there was a point in me that I was like, I need to take the post down because I can't handle this. And then it just kept going and going and going and going and going. And then my goal for that year was to reach 60,000 followers.
Yeah.
And I reached that in like 2 weeks. And I bought myself a new pair of cowboy boots. And then I was like, okay, when I reach 100K, I'm going to get a perfume. So I got my 60K cowboy boots and I got my 100K perfume. And then I was like, right, when I reach 200K, I'll get myself a new phone.
So is it like having milestones, like, and rewarding yourself?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in terms of the kind of the 12
so with
week.
the 12-week year, it was all about setting up the habit.
Yes,
You've got to put in.
If you put in the effort, you'll get the outcome.
Not necessarily the outcome. Like, there's ingoing and an outgoing kind of thing. You're ingoing. Sometimes there's a delay.
Yes.
And you don't know how long that delay is. For example, eat 5 protein meals a week to better my health. You're not
going to see it.
You're not going to see it after,
We always say that about like investing's like going to the gym. It's like you're not going to see results on day 1. You're not going to see results on day 2. But if you do it consistently and regularly.
Gratification, that's the skill you got to learn.
In terms of like today's culture and instant gratification, how do you inspire people to kind of embrace that more slower, intentional practice of like sewing? Because it's so hard to not get sucked in to instant gratification.
Yeah, it is.
And honestly, the number of 20-something-year-olds that have messaged us saying, how do I balance future me and like living my life? Because it's like, this is the only time probably that I'll be, have a higher disposable income, no dependents, no mortgage, the freedom and the time and the energy and the young body to do those things. Yet everyone's telling me to save for retirement. It's exhausting being young as well. So how do you balance
You're being pulled
that?
in a lot of different directions. Yeah, of course. So the one thing that really helped me, and this is part of the 12-week year, is visualize what your dream life would be. Everything, no detail too small.
Yeah.
I put on my dream life, make a perfect Victoria sponge. And it's not making a perfect Victoria sponge. It's being at a mental state where I love to bake.
Yeah.
And it's being at a space that I feel loved and at peace with. And also on that board is having my future home. So on Pinterest, every time I'm on Pinterest, my algorithm, thank you, knows me so well that it'll suggest ideas for my future home. And so I pin it to my forever home folder. And so I know exactly what my forever home is going to look like. And I have pictures and everything all pinned up. So yes, live in the moment, enjoy your life, because there's no point sacrificing so much that you actually don't enjoy the process.
Yeah.
The more sustainable you can make the process, the better.
I love what you said before when we were talking off mic around living
She was
the
writing
life,
down notes furiously.
living the life you can afford to live rather than living the life you want.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important right now. It's like, yes, you've got a chance to live that life that you want eventually, but don't live that now.
Yeah.
Because it'll be sacrificing and taking money from future you, essentially. And I feel like if anyone's kind of sitting here going, I don't know how much I can sacrifice, it's almost like just try. Try any amount.
Yeah.
Try $5. Then if you can do that, try $10. Try,
So
it's
the
like
best thing for
you're not going to
that-
know until you actually try.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The best thing for that was go on a compound interest calculator. So what I've done with a bunch of my friends now, they always say to me, oh, how do you invest? And I asked a friend the other week at work, I was like, hey, why don't you invest? And she said, I don't have enough money to start investing.
That's the biggest excuse that we hear. And it's like, investing isn't something you should do when you're rich. It's how you get rich. It's not.
And I also don't think it's an excuse. I think it's a reason. People are too scared.
What would you say to someone who I guess doesn't know where to start when it comes to sewing, for example? What would be the kind of thing that
you just say, start with this one thing?
Start with this, so they feel a bit like overwhelmed or like, oh gosh, I'm a terrible sewer, so I'm never going to start. Which is what we kind of get with investing all the time.
My phrase for that is start ugly. You just got to start with something. Like,
also, I feel like sometimes the excuse of like, I don't have enough money, or for some people is they're scared. There's another reason that they're scared, there's an education piece around you don't need to have lots of money to invest. Yes, it's been dictated like that, but you can start with $1, and I think a lot of people will have $1 that they could start with. Again, it's just like making priorities and prioritizing future you. Do you have any other kind of quirky ways that you save money? I mean, you've given us so many.
Oh my God, no, you will stop. You will stop this. Okay, so my grocery bill in Melbourne, for one, $30, $40 a week.
Wow.
So here's what I do. Finish work, go to the gym, and then on the way home, I pop into the supermarket. Between 5 and 7 is when they mark down all their things.
Which supermarket is this?
Coles and Woolies. Okay.
Between 5 and 7.
5 and 7 is when they start marking down things. So what I do is I go between those times, and you can get so much stuff.
It's like going to the bakery at the end of the day, or
It's
going
incredible.
to sushi, and it's half price if you go after like 4 p.m. Yeah.
So I get all my stuff there, and I bulk freeze it, and I cook it and freeze it, and the best thing ever. Because also what it does is that it allows you to save yourself time. It allows me to do so much other things.
Yes. Yeah.
But also one of the things
It's all about planning. It's
Yes,
all about
it is.
planning.
It is.
Being a little bit astute around, taking advantages of those times when things are cheaper, and like buying in bulk. And I think, for a lot of people wanting to get ahead, you
Just
have
find
to have
a
a plan.
workaround.
Yeah, you have to have something
your
that
workaround. For example, also, I call up my power company and my internet provider and be like, hey, I see that one of your competitors is doing it for $15 cheaper. Can you do that for me? And they'll normally say yes, because they don't want to lose you as a customer.
That's one thing I saw my parents doing when I was growing up, and it used to embarrass the hell out of me. I used to be like, why are they always
like, it's
Mum
just
would ask
$15
in store if things are on sale, and I would cringe. And I remember being like, Mom, just pay full price. And now I'm like, you know what? They had like 2 kids and a mortgage, and of course they're trying to save money here and there.
Yeah.
And it's also just, it's great practice.
Yeah.
Why not ask? And also, doing an audit also makes sure that you know what you're paying and and like insurance audits once a year. You know how much you're covered. Like all of that is definitely been something that I've put in my financial calendar is every year I do a financial audit.
So I'll tell you what I used to do, coming back to memory, is when I moved out of my parents' house for the first time, living alone for the first time, you've got to do the big setup. You've got to do everything for the first time. So I tracked every single dollar I spent daily in a spreadsheet. And then I said to myself, it's not about being a millionaire. It's about learning the habits that lead to you having $1 million. It's not about anything else but learning the habits. Once you learn the habits,
all the
you'll be fine.
1%ers.
Like the protein bars that I have, full price, they're $6. In January, they're 50% off, so they're $3. I bought $400 worth of protein bars, and I'm still going on them, and I'm fine.
I feel like you'd be one of those people that would buy Christmas decorations in January.
I don't.
You make them. You make your own.
I do. But also, I realize that I don't need all of this stuff in my house. Like everything that you bring in, you're going to have to take out. And because I moved from my parents' house to my own house for the first time, and then a year later I moved from that to Melbourne. So I had a natural culling of things quite easily. Yeah. I've never really lived in a place long enough to accumulate a lot of stuff. And like also when I'm in Melbourne, I go to my sister's for Christmas, so I don't really have to decorate my house for Christmas, Yeah. I don't need the additional stuff. So that's one main thing. And one of the points to touch on is I said I would be happy when this happens, and then you're not happy, and then you move it further and further. Yeah. One thing I said to myself is once I reach this net worth, I am not allowed to worry about money ever again, because you've learned the habits that allowed you to accumulate this net worth. You are not allowed, Annie, you are not allowed to worry about money ever again. And I've stuck to that. And that's what I'm proud of. And also, I said to myself, what does wealth look like to me? Wealth isn't Ferrari, Lamborghini, private jet, all of that kind of stuff. It is about buying my fruit and veggies from the local family, grocers, to support them. Yeah. That's what wealth looks like to me. Wealth is contributing to an office birthday present for the receptionist. Yeah. That is what wealth looks like to me.
I think that's a really good point, is like figuring out what is your, because you don't want to keep moving that goalpost, but what is that figure or that dollar value or that net worth that you want to get to, and you're like, okay, I am content now. I know I've got enough money for retirement. I've got enough money to live, to experience and purchase the things that I want and have that freedom and independence. Rather than always wanting more. Because otherwise you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be content.
No, the one thing I started to do was I write down good things that happened today. And I'll tell you what, in the 2 years that I've done it, every night, never been a money thing. It's always been my sister called me unexpectedly. That's been lovely. It was, I walked to work in the sun. Those little things. It's never reached 800,000 followers on Instagram. It's never anything like that. Yeah. It's always those little things that make your day. And if you've got, the big things are great, but it's the small moments in between that count. And if you can cultivate those, then that leads to a happy life that allows you to put away that extra little bit into investing. And this is the thing. I work as a waitress in Melbourne. I'm 29. I should be further ahead. I should be in a career. I should be. No, stop.
Stop comparing yourself to others. Yeah.
Because everyone else's opinion of you will change, not your own. So, the Gymshark?
Yes.
Ben Francis. He's the head of Gymshark. He actually was the one making a bunch of the prototypes with his grandmother's sewing machine. That's how he started. He worked at Pizza Hut until his company reached £200,000 a year because the job allowed him the ability to reinvest into the business. And that's what I've done. My first year in business, like I was negative, as all businesses normally are. But I remember setting up my website and getting the domain and setting up the Squarespace account and all of that kind of stuff. And, it wasn't a lot, but it allowed me to move forward with what I wanted to do. And I've worked hospitality evening. So the way it really works best for me is I've worked on my business during the day and then go to work in the evening. So my day-to-day in Melbourne normally looks like wake up around 8:30, morning gratitude of like, I'm good, we're happy, we're healthy. I've got a playlist that I've started playing of all my favorite songs. So I listen to that and then I listen to The Curve. No,
great way to start your day.
It's financial stuff. So I have like in the morning, my brain's awake and I'm listening and I'm taking in a lot of things in the morning. And then I have my breakfast, reply to a bunch of Instagram stuff in the morning, go to my co-working space, work on more stuff there. And then around 4:30, I'll leave, head back to my apartment, grab some dinner. And then I work a 5:30 till 10 o'clock shift there. And come home, do a bit more work. So I'm working like 10 hours a day on my business, but it does not feel like work at all.
Because you love it. I hate when people say work-life balance and all that. Like, this is, I don't know, this is like The Curve is my passion.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like work.
No.
But when friends are like, oh, you're working again, or like, I'm like, but it's not, and for me, it's not
you
work.
work so much. Yeah. Yes, I do, but I love it.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like work because it's my passion and I feel purpose when I do it. And I want to do it. It's rewarding. And yes, don't get me wrong. There's times when I'm like, oh gosh, like,
you wish you could hand it over to someone else and you're just like,
when I'm coding or building a website in the weekend. But no, I think it's figuring out, what brings you joy and happiness in the moment. Yeah. Not what is that target or what is that goal, I think is really important. What would you say is the kind of the number one tip or skill that you've learned that's really changed kind of the health of your personal finances or investments?
I think the best piece of advice is don't just learn from your mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
Know yourself enough where you can fully stand on your decision and go for it. Because there have been so many times where people have tried to sideswipe my dream because it's not in alignment with theirs. And I think this comes from parents and loved ones where they want to fix the problem right here, right now, with what is their best solution. But when you don't take that on, they feel hopeless.
Yeah.
So how that relates to finances is I did sacrifice, air quotations, a lot in my 20s, but now, boy, I cannot wait for the next couple of years. Being able to stash away enough money where I don't have a student loan, I happily live within my means, I run my business full time and I love it.
Yeah.
97% of people hate their jobs. I cannot spend 40 hours a week doing something that is not, I hate my job. It's just that if it's not fully.
You're living to work, not working to live. Yeah.
What is the point of all your success if it is not in alignment with who you are? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of experience that at some point in our lives. But I was so grateful that I discovered sewing so early on that I could ever so slightly creep towards that over time. You know, I was having this conversation with my parents this weekend. If you had to give advice to your younger self, what would you change? And it's like,
I used to hate that question. What would you tell your younger self? But it's like,
fun fact, I went into ChatGPT and Excel spreadsheets and I basically plotted if I had got a student loan and put that disposable income that I would have saved for uni into Sharesies, whatnot, how better off would I be? I would be $8,448 up if I'd then taken it all out and invested it and paid back my student loan.
Yeah.
And then the other option was pay as much as you can back towards the student loan whilst living in New Zealand before going to Melbourne, I would still have to take out $20,000 and pay back a student loan to then move to Melbourne without any student loan. And then the third option was do exactly what I did. But I know myself so well enough to know that I don't think I would have worked as hard as I did at uni because somebody else was paying for it. I would have spent that money and not invested it because I'm at uni, I want this money, I've earned this money. And then also when I came out of uni, I wouldn't have taken that money out of Sharesies and put it into my student loan payment. I know I just wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you look back on it, Sharesies wasn't even around when I started.
Yeah. It's also, you just need to look at yourself right now and be like, okay, like I look back 10 years ago, what I should have, could have done.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I've still got 10 years ahead of me, hopefully.
You've got multiple
So
decades.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, what do I want to be doing now so that in 10 years time, I'm not looking back going, I wish I'd done that. It's like you can, it's looking objectively now, and we can all do little things to change our financial futures starting now.
Just
it's
make
never
an informed
too late.
decision.
Yeah.
Just make an informed decision. Don't just go
Start
with
ugly.
gut feeling or anything like that. Just educate yourself a little bit. Because I remember researching student loans and the repayments of them and the interest, and it just sounded like a really bad deal.
It's interest-free in New Zealand, which
Exactly.
when I got out of university and had this monstrous student loan, I remember sitting down almost in tears with my mother and being like, how I'm going to be paying this off my entire life. Like I'd never seen a dollar figure that big against my name. And
It's terrifying.
thankfully
I'd
in New
seen that
Zealand,
happen to other people. And I was like, I know if I was in that situation, I could not get out of bed in the morning. It was just not going to happen for me. So I was just like, I cannot have a student loan. So figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, if you've got to save 10 grand by the end of the year, that's $700 a month. So that is what, $351? You know,
you work backwards and you
And you're like, okay, can I do this?
It's breaking it down into
little
bits.
Make it so easy you can't not do it. Make it so easy.
I think we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Quite all right.
But oh my goodness, there are so many great nuggets of wisdom in there. And I think it's so interesting, the relationship between finances and sewing, but also your whole personal, your approach to personal finances has been really, really interesting. So thank you so much. And loved having you on the podcast. Thank you for coming all the way from Melbourne. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy.
Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking with your friends about your salaries, all of that stuff.
And if you like what you heard, we would love if you could please hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
And it only takes 1 second and it would really make our week, our month, our year.
Yeah.
So please do it. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.